All right, folks, stand by. Urban Meyer coming up next right here on Best Fridays of Football with Brendan and Buddy.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Evening on a Friday night. Are you kidding me? We don't do Friday nights, but a lot of folks are not going to find us for a few minutes. We realize that. We're just signing on. I'm Buddy Martin. This guy here is back from Utah, and he's Brendan. What's up, Brendan?
Hey, what's going on there, Dad? See, you're driving the show again. You got us all over. You know, I'm not even in the beginning anymore now. See, I'm not even gone that long. You've already taken me out of my favorite part.
Well, you have to be here to be a part of it when I open the show.
Well, you're no longer. I'm taking over driving responsibilities next week.
Okay,
just so
well,
you
make
know.
sure we're on the right channel, ladies. I don't know if we are or not.
Well, we are on the right channel, I think, but I never know. Within I have to backseat drive from here, so we'll see.
Okay, well, that's all right. I'm good with that. They'll find us here. Hey, you're back in Utah. It's a great trip. A sad outcome, and Gator fans are pretty pissed right now.
Yes,
and we've always been coach friendly here, and Gator fans certainly, and we like to give them a break and support them in a way we can, but it's hard to look past what we saw last night, and we're going to talk to Urban Meyer about that in a minute. So
yes,
you were there, you saw it, you covered it, you were live, you went to sit in the press box, Mr. Big Shot. I thought you were a man of the people, not one of those prima donnas.
You're the one that made me do it. I was sitting there where you normally sit with all the, highbrow, high society guys like Edgar Thompson and Scott Carter, and all my buddies there. So, I mean, I don't know what I got to sit down there with them a little while. No, it was interesting. It was educational. Mm-hmm. I've sat in the press box plenty of times. As you know, I'm always on the field, seeing a different perspective. I definitely had to borrow some binoculars a couple of times because they're so high up. I'm not used to being that far away from the action. But people don't understand you're in the press box. So you have somebody that actually announces the plays, as they happen. So, there's internal, PA system inside the box that says, "Oh, this was."
Don't be giving away our secrets in the press box.
That's not a secret. And they got people that walk around. They give you papers. They give you all the breakdowns of everything. And then there's this big meal. You get
now you're really giving it away.
Coffee. There's like a bathroom right there. Great Wi-Fi.
You can't do
it's
that.
Very cozy in there.
No.
It's true. It's very true.
Go back on the sidelines. You've broken the code.
What code? There's no code.
There's among the writers. You don't tell.
Well, you guys got a cushy up there. I always thought it was pretty tough, but it is not tough. Actually, it's tough because you can't see as well. But it's very educational. It was interesting to see. It's like you get the high 40, right? You just get that high 50 cam. So you get to see really everything breaks down. And it was even more difficult to watch because you can't cheer in the press box. So there's no cussing or saying "Go Gators" or any of that stuff. Not that I really do that from the sidelines, but there is some of that. So it's definitely a different perspective. And it was hard because it was such a difficult thing as a fan to swallow. I'm not going to lie. And I am usually very pro. I mean, look, I picked the Gators to win 35-6. I mean, I was immediately taken back by the entire thing. Right off the top with the 7-yard touchdown pass. It just was the last thing I wanted to see, especially when you're looking to see this new look defense. And I'm sitting here reporting on everyone's bigger, stronger, faster, all these things. And it was just, I felt really dumb. Like I felt inexperienced. I felt like here I have been singing praises for months, how this is a better team. And this Austin Armstrong's the answer. And, really, I felt like I was peddling a bad bill of goods or something. It was very deflating as a journalist in that sense, because we are so connected to the team and to our listeners and to the people of the Gator Nation and then people of the, GatorbaitMedia.com, our community. We've been very high on, this, Billy's the guy, and this new coaching staff is great. And this is going to make all the major changes, and we're better, and everything's better. And it really felt like we were worse. And I say we because it felt like a we. It felt like everything is not better, because it was really hard, especially as a football player, a football fan, to know the game, to be your son. It really, to hear even comments and grumblings from other journalists that it was sloppy and difficult to report on, to write on, to watch the really, just high school style penalties, even junior high, style penalties, 2 number 3s on the field. I never even heard that called, I think, in a college game, let alone maybe ever. And on the plane ride back, I heard, even this morning as I'm flying back, I literally heard it in the concourse. People complaining about, all of the things that everybody's been complaining about on social media. So it was difficult because, a lot of people look to us for answers. Also they say, well, maybe you all don't know what you're talking about. And maybe they're right.
Apparently we did, because we all picked them to win. But we'll break the game down another time, because we got Urban coming up here. But I just want to get your quick impressions of what you saw there, what you felt. You were in there. You went to the Utah presser afterwards and heard the press conference, and it was a beautiful venue. I will say that. It looked great, and a beautiful venue where they had the attention of the United States of America right there on football. Chance to make a statement. They dropped the ball.
Yeah. It was, the one thing I kept thinking about was trust the process. Mm-hmm. I heard it from Mullen, trust the process. And I generally don't get emotional about this stuff.
No, you don't.
I really don't. And I was like, what am I going to write about? How do I put this into words? How do I get
explain it? How
do you explain it? Because every aspect of the plan to win, right, failed. Everything, special teams. Yeah. And I hate to say, it's our job to just say, this is what we saw. This is what happened. It's not our job to say, in a lot of ways, we're not in headset. We're not at practice. We have no access, by the way. That's sort of the shock of it all, is that people think that we're so embedded. We get no time, no information. We don't get to, interview coaches. We barely get to talk to players. We just kind of ingest and give back to what really the masses hear all the time. So,
you know what? A lot of people are saying maybe they'll get their comeuppance on this.
Maybe. And I don't want, look, this is the kind of thing, it's like reporting on a death, like telling your loved one or whatever that somebody passed. You don't want to say these things. These are not easy things to say. But when you let your emotions sort of settle down and really think about it, it's a body of work that's in front of us, and you have to make the decision. Was this personnel? Was this revolt by players, or was this coaching, right? And I'm not the one to say that per se, but because you only have a certain finite amount of information, there's always, the buck stops with the person on top, right? you and I have to deal with that all the time. So at the end of the day, there's one person or person's responsible. And that's what's difficult, because I would never be the one to say, second year, this guy's this guy's that. He's not up to snuff or whatever. But, especially being up in the press box, you start thinking, why is the person on the field calling these plays? Why is the offensive scheme this?
Right.
Why are
we have a lot of
what I mean? But these are the questions that I don't say. Why in 2023, when we have the knowledge that it's going down this way, and I think that's what a lot of people, at least that I've talked to, that's what everyone's trying to figure out. How do we make nine? How do they make 9 penalties for 50 yards? And how does the red zone offense? Don't get me started. It really pisses me off. I'm pissed.
The programs, okay?
I'm pissed.
Let's go hear from Urban. Here he is. Pleasure to welcome back to the microphones. I almost said Coach Urban Meyer, but I'll always think of you as Coach Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, who was a little busy this week. Let's bring you on the show and talk about what he's doing. And then I have some serious questions to ask him about football coaching and how all that works. Urban, how you doing? Got a big weekend planned, don't you?
Yeah, great to be with you, buddy. As always, I'm in. We did the Minnesota-Nebraska game last night for Fox, and then we have big noon starting tomorrow. Man, it's we're at TCU, and I don't know if you've ever been to Fort Worth, Texas, and TCU. I mean, it's one of my favorite places in the country. Last year we came for the first time. It's hard to say I've been around better people than the people down here. They want us. They treat us nice. Good old-fashioned Midwestern. It's awesome. Now they have Deion Sanders' first game, the grand experiment, and I went and watched Deion Sanders' team practice, and I was pleasantly surprised. He's hired a really good staff. How about this? 70? I think it's 75 new players.
I saw that. My word.
I don't get it, but they're historically bad program the last few years, and they didn't look that way when I watched them practice. This could be a good game tomorrow.
I happen to be high on Deion Sanders. I know a lot of people are not. Anybody who can generate, not that you need my opinion, can generate the kind of enthusiasm that he is generating. And I know that program because I covered it for a long time. And to see the enthusiasm is really refreshing. I wish him the best because he's got a long road ahead.
Yeah, he does. But we had a good conversation, and I think this is a good one for us. Is one of the topics was on our show, and it's going to be tomorrow. Is going to be what will Deion be successful? And my comment was this: is that what's your definition of success? Florida, when Jeremy Foley hired me, I mean, it was pretty clear what was expected at Florida. I mean, it's win and compete for national championships. That's what you do at Florida. At Ohio State, it was actually on paper. RAD gave me a sheet of paper, and the expectations. Right. Number one was win every game you play. Number two, beat your rival, graduate your players, and it was boom, boom, boom. I'm just curious what the expectation is at CU, because when I say bad, buddy, last year they were horrific. One of the worst point ratio teams, so it's going to be interesting.
And his son is interesting because I hear he's a good player.
I watched him. Very good player.
And here's the inside intel I have, which is not nearly as good as yours, from a very close source of the team who says it looks like a good player, but they got nobody to block for him. That's what I heard.
Yeah, no, they're going to be challenged. TCU's got a good D-line. I watched their offense line because that was their weakness, and I think their first strength can kind of hang in there, but they have no depth.
Well, he certainly got football rejuvenated again. They left the other conference just in time, so they're well positioned now to have an interesting season. Well, that's going to be a good game. It's going to be fun. I'm going to ask you next week after you get to watch the game how you assess it, whatever. Well, we got to talk about the big one last night. Big here at least, and for you, like I said to you when we talked before, these two programs that you helped bring to prominence. I was interested to know how you felt watching the game and what your reactions and emotions were.
Well, I'm still very, very close with Kyle Whittingham at Utah. I played golf with him, went and saw him this summer. His defense coordinator played for me. Morgan Skelly. He has Lewis Powell, who's defensive line coach, played for me. I still have so many friends at the University of Utah, but then the Gators, I don't have as many friends there because the staff's been turned over many times, and so I don't really know. I met Coach Napier and I talked to him on the phone, and I'm really pulling for him. So I'm beyond who am I going to cheer for? I don't.
Sure.
I'm not a cheerleader. What I am is I'm an analyst for college football. So I was anxious to see, because I know Florida's gone through some transition at quarterback. They had some offensive linemen leave. Utah, their starting quarterback was out. So I was really anxious to watch. The problem is we had a game going on that we were covering, but I tried to watch, and I hustled back to the green room and watched as much as I could.
So help me through this as I'm sorting out my own thoughts and people writing and calling. Number one, the Gators didn't look prepared at all. They didn't look prepared. And some people I respect and know have told me that it was one of the worst prepared teams they'd seen. Now, you don't have to comment on that. I know you got friends. I'm just telling you what my world is right now. I'm trying to understand it. I sympathize with Billy, think he's a really good football coach. But Urban, if you'd come there in your first year, you'd have people jumping on sides, illegal motion, et cetera, in year one, and you come back and say, we're going to fix all this, and you get that, that's not something that's okay. And so I don't know exactly what happened. I have an idea. You can tell me all you want to about coach speak, and we had a crowd, we had this. I get it. You got young players, I get it. But Urban, I got to say, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, I watched, like I said, I didn't get to watch the whole thing. The yard differential, they held Florida or they held Utah to 270 some yards. So that game, you eliminate turnovers and mistakes. That game with that kind of yardage, it wasn't like, sometimes you just see a disparity of talent and you see, one of those 580 yards to whatever. I know Florida really struggled running the football. I'm just talking about Florida's defense. They gave up 70 yards on the first play, and then they give up 200 the rest of the game, and that's where an offense isn't performing well. So, I think right now all of us, because I consider myself a Gator fan, all of us got to take a deep breath, let these guys do their job. You're a fan, so you're certainly allowed to have your opinion. That's what makes us great. But I would also say this, let that coaching staff do their job. Let the leaders on the team regroup. It's a long season. I remember in 2014, we had to break in a new quarterback because our Heisman Trophy candidate got hurt, and we lost to an unranked Virginia Tech team. And I didn't, I've learned a long time ago, don't read a thing. But they were people that wanted me out of Ohio State. And we went back and won every game we played and beat Alabama, beat Oregon, and got to lift a trophy up. So just let the man do his job. Let the staff do their job. Be vocal. You're allowed to do that. But at the end of the day, let the guy do his job.
That's a great point. And I want to address that by saying I remember a game you lost to Mississippi when the world came to an end.
Sure.
And I remember a very good friend of mine who was a football guy saying, Urban Meyer's not the guy, and these Gators aren't going to win a national championship, and they're never going to win one, whatever. And, of course, we know what happened. Again, Tebow goes out, makes a promise. And you guys.
Hey, buddy, listen. In 2005, I won't say the guy's name, but 2005, this is one of those, it's not a friend. I mean, it's a guy that, I'm your friend because I was the head coach of Florida, and he was around all the time, and he used to drink too much, and we lose to LSU, and we played awful that day. My first year, we had, our defense played our hearts out. We hung in there, and we lost to LSU. Really bad performance on offense, and he came, I don't know, publicly to the AD. This is, obviously not a friend. You got very few friends in life. I consider you a friend.
Yeah,
but he wanted me gone. I mean, was adamant that Jeremy made a mistake. And so So when I hear that stuff, I guess I'm scarred.
Yeah, I get it.
And I always side on that coach. Always.
And you
so
should.
the guy was
As you should. Yeah. Yeah.
Guy's hired to do a job. Let him do his job, man. Let's go.
I get it.
Let's get everything going. Let's rally him up, get him going.
All right. And I love that. That's great. But I think the inevitable, I deal with fans every night. They're good fans too, by the way, and they're good people.
Sure.
Most of the ones that follow me and follow my column, they want the Gators to win. They stand behind Billy, and they have and will. But you have the outliers, and you have a lot of people, and I have to answer questions. Just like Urban, you have to answer questions sometime, right?
Of course.
What? Well, here's one. How could a backup quarterback throw for a touchdown on the first play that the defensive coordinator or coach at Florida, he got burned on the first play? I get it. Safety blew the coverage, but it's an understandable question. That's a good question. Well, how could this happen? And the other thing is, and I want you to hear me good because I'm not criticizing here. I'm just saying, trying to address fan speak. And why is it that coaches always say, and one of your predecessors said this a lot before you got there, well, that's correctable. We can fix that. And they're saying, I'm going to a mechanic to get my car fixed. He tells me, listen, you got a generator problem. Okay, can we fix that? Yeah, okay. He drives it off, and 3 blocks down the road, it ain't running again. It ain't fixed. And that's the mentality of the fan, right or wrong, Urban. You've dealt with them. You've had them want to fire you, whatever. So that's the deal. So I love what you said about Coach Napier. I like the man. I'm rooting for the man. I want him to do well. We all do. But that was pretty pathetic. So it wasn't just they lost the game. They lost. Now, let me say this. Graham Mertz looked pretty good. 333 yards, right? And looks like he might be able to do something here. So we'll see. Make some adjustments. The last thing I'll say is that you taught me that about numbers, about having the right numbers when you run the football in the right place. And a lot of times last night, they ran the ball when they didn't have the numbers. I don't know if he can check out of it or what. So those are things, I hope they are fixable, but all the best. Hope it goes well. All right, let's talk. How much time you got? You told me. I don't want to overdo it, but
I got about 12 minutes.
Good. I'll use them all. Georgia. Nobody gets to be on top forever. You know that. You were. And at several places. It's all going right for Kirby now, but things happen. You know that. And we can't predict the future. Kirby Smart's a hell of a football coach. He is not Nick Saban yet, but he's a football coach. Looking down in your looking glass and looking ahead, what any coach would face, how do you keep that balance and keep that thing going? What do you do? And do you think Kirby will?
Well, Georgia had some off-season issues and a couple of real serious ones.
Yeah, I'll say.
A couple of people lost their life. I mean, real serious stuff.
Killed in a car wreck.
Yeah. So I think steadying the boat, that's something that, we had won 2 out of 3 and, things started to cave in a little bit. That's hard to stay at the top. I think as long as they keep recruiting as a high level, I think he's going to continue to win. I still think Georgia's one of the, top 2-3 jobs because they are within hours. They not only have great players, but really well-coached players. In this, the Atlanta, just outside of, Atlanta and in that area is incredible high school football. So they're the man until you beat the man. So a lot of respect for what they've done. I actually picked them, as to be in my Final Four again. That's not a hard pick. It's going to come down to this quarterback. How well can he play? And can he win the close games? Because you can say what you want about Stetson Bennett. I know one thing. He's got 2 national championship rings. So I call him a champion. He's too short. He's do this. He's that. That's fine. He's a champion.
All right. That's a good one. Let's talk about your champions club. A certain guy who used to punt for you last week was asked about his first experience at Urban Meyer first meeting. I'm going to tell you who it is in a minute. And he talked about it. Not very happy that time because he was hurt and he had to have surgery. He says, this is his turn, I believe him. And so he had the surgery, missed practice. He showed up and was told, You don't eat over here. Go get yourself some hot dogs. Because he had best practice. Eric Wilbur. Now, later on, he learned about it, and he didn't like it too much. And by the way, just so you know, his girlfriend and wife went and got him an Outback steak and brought it to him. So he got his steak that night anyway. I thought that was a cute story. And Alec Peak Wilbur is a terrific young podcaster. She is really sharp. He married over his head there. She's got 2 sets of twins, does this show every week. She does her own show, and she knows football, and she is really good. So if you ever get a chance to go on her show, take it because she's special. So anyway, Eric Wilbur, tell me about him. Give me some trash so I can say something back to him.
Oh, I thought Wilbur was great. I thought he had that confidence, arrogance. I loved coaching him. I'll never forget, in the Arkansas SEC game, he did some silly stuff making fun of the other punter. And, I coached the punters and coached the specialists, and really talented player. I remember Allie. She's great. And I've not listened to her podcast, but, I look back and I hear, these stories get bigger and bigger. To be on the Champions Club, there was very clear delineation. You either are or you're not. And like I said, the stories seem to grow sometimes as they move forward. And whatever Eric says he was hurt, not hurt, whatever, I don't have the injury report in front of me. But I really liked Eric Wilbur, and he was a heck of a player.
Well, he sure married a nice family, and I know you're proud of that because you taught that as well. And I love those stories. So talk about your broadcast team a little bit. It's you guys are a pretty close-knit group. One's gone, got a new one. You like him a lot. You're going on the road now. When you first started, you didn't do that. Talk about Big Noon Saturday and your teammates.
Yeah, buddy, I love this job. I love Fox. I love my team is incredible. When I talk about my team, it's just the on-air guys. We have Matt Liner, Brady Quinn, Rob Stone, myself, and then Reggie Bush. I love Reggie Bush, but he's moved on. And now we have Mark Ingram, who we saw up close and personal. We beat him in 08, and he beat us in 09. Not a good guy, great guy. And we're very close. And our producers, directors, I'm very biased. It's the best college football show on television. If you want football, it's and that's one of the things that I love about Fox and Fox College Football. You know what they told me when they came to see me? They said, our job is to celebrate this game and those who play it and those who coach it. And when you watch us, you know what we do? We celebrate this game. There's no, calling names and ripping people's face apart. We don't. That's not if that happened, I'd be the first one to say, let people do their job. You're allowed to be fans, but if when you get personal, that's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of that.
But you have an ability to do your analysis, and you don't mind saying if it's a deficiency or something happened. I like that.
Oh, of course.
And you know what my feeling is? That's my jam. I love to celebrate the game. You and I have to talk about this. So, closing comments, since you got to go here pretty quick. As we return to football, all the transfer portal nonsense going on, all the NIL deals are going by. Game is threatened a little bit. People concerned about it. But when you tee it up and you start playing, you forget about that. And the great game of college football once again has survived. And what are you celebrating about college football right now?
Like you said, last night we did a game and Minnesota got a turnover, went down, kicked a 42-yard field goal to win as time expired, and people rushed the field, and we were in the fans, and those brought back great memories. What I'm celebrating, what's really unique this year, buddy? For the first time in recent history, you have 11 teams built to win a championship. They're the top. There's no clear delineated champion, or the last few years you felt like there was 3 or 4 teams and that was it. Everyone else is an outlier. You have 11 teams. So listen closely. 3 of the top 4 teams have new quarterbacks. You have 11 teams, 3 from the Big Ten, 3 from the SEC, 2 from the ACC plus Notre Dame, USC, and Texas. Those are all very loaded rosters. They're from different parts of the country, so it's not just the SEC. It's, you're kind of spacing some talent out. And I'm telling you, they're of the 11 teams, and this summer I really studied them. I watched film. I had an analyst assistant help me with the rosters. And I'm telling you, buddy, there's 11 teams. I believe in the locker rooms. They think they can take a swing at a national title. And I'm real excited. That makes college football better. When you have, when it's, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and everyone else, that's no good.
It's a snoozer.
I really believe there's some teams out there that can make us take a swing at this.
That's exciting, and it gets me all excited about college football again. I'm hoping the Gators right their ship and we get a chance to watch good football around here. And certainly I'm looking forward to this broadcast, which will be coming in the morning to most of you. Best Fridays in football. Something else Urban Meyer taught me about.
I always enjoy it. And this is, first of all, I love being with you. Second of all, I love insight into college football. And I'm telling you what, I'm pulling hard for Billy Napier. I'm pulling hard for that staff. I lived in that city. That is a tough place to live when you lose. And not on you, but I remember my children, my wife. That's really, really a tough place because it's not very big. There's nowhere to get away from it. So I'm really hoping that we can find a way to turn this thing around and go win some games.
At least he hasn't walked into a restaurant and gotten booed yet.
Yeah.
Which you did.
I mean, that was, and then I'll never forget the caller that called me, or called Mick Huber and I mean, it was awful. Cussing and saying the names, and I'm looking at Mick Huber going, really? I think we were 7-2 at the time.
Yeah. Take that in a heartbeat right now. Boy, things do change. Urban, great being with you. It's going to be fun.
Thanks,
you watch this weekend and next week again, Best Fridays in Football with my friend Urban Meyer.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Thanks. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. I think I look, for no coach I've had more respect for and than Urban Meyer, really, just for obvious reasons. So I thought that was a great interview. Sad I wasn't here. I was on the plane coming back to join in.
You're
but
supposed to be involved in it, Brendan. You're gallivanting across the country.
Yeah, Spirit Airlines. What I'd like to say, I think, is, I guess, speaks to more of what you and I do, Dad, and what we've been doing since we started, is that we're always sort of the voice of the fan in a lot of ways, because, we hear a lot of different opinions. I do a lot of customer service calls for people, and I can't tell you how many times I talk to a roughneck in Texas, or I talk to people, hardworking people, that go out and work their butts off and come home and knock back, and they want to talk about the Gators. and I think that is particularly with this fan base. We live in Ocala, Gainesville, Alachua, Marion County, beyond, South Carolina. I mean, there's I heard a stat close to 6 million Gators out there worldwide. And, to be a Gator fan, and this took a while for me to really understand, when we started this, a la 2007 or whatever it was. But now, you understand it. It's a part of the fabric of your life. And when you feel embarrassed, or you feel like that someone doesn't get it on the level that you live and breathe, like, we're always going to be Gator fans, right? We've been that way our whole life. Generation passed down season tickets. I talk to people that it just ruins their entire week when the team loses, because in a lot of ways, for some people, this is all they have outside of the regular everyday. And I think that's what people need to understand. It's not that Florida fan is impatient or not understanding. It's that Florida fan cares about this team so very much that it's more than water cooler conversation. It's dinner table conversation. It's arguments with family members that over certain situations. It's the argument that we had about Urban Meyer for years, and the things that happened when his exit happened. These things matter, and when you feel like the team is losing and they're going in the wrong direction, it really matters to people. And I talk to them all the time, and so I think that's the non-coach perspective.
Yeah, that's going to be a part of your column. Look forward to reading it. I'm working on mine now. What's next for the Florida Gators, which I have posted tonight on Gator Bait. Tell them about Gator Bait, Brendan.
Yep, Gator Bait. In interest of keeping the spirits up, we're going to extend the special 20% off all access annual membership. Yep, put in code winning. We'll get you 20% off the all access annual membership.
We're giving it away now,
which is because we care, right? We're gonna keep it. Look, no one's gonna go out there and cheer harder and pull for this team than all of us. And it's not that
Poppy needs a new pair of glasses here.
Yeah, Poppy needs to stop ordering Amazon. Okay.
You're right about that.
Okay, you have an Amazon addiction.
All right, I'll tell you what, I got addiction for all these people here. We're going to recognize just one of our sponsors tonight. And we want to say thanks to Meldon Law and Renstar Medical Research. But these people, Titan MRI, I want to be sure and tell you about them. They're good, really good people. Titan MRI is worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance, no problem. You can pay cash or card, same-day scheduling available. You can start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent. That's where you come in. Premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages says TitanMRI.com.
All those people that joined us tonight, we got 60 on the show right now. Thanks for joining. Smash the subscribe button. It's down here on the right. We have a lot of new faces. Smash it. That means click it. It means click the subscribe. You'll get notifications
when we do our pop-up shows. You hit your phone in Utah. You knocked it on the ground.
I did. Yeah, well, that's hanging out with Meldon Law and the boys.
Yeah. Jeremy can be really dangerous.
They're all dangerous. Those guys are fun. I'll tell you what. They're neat. They had a neat deal going on there, right across the street from the stadium.
By the way, Jeffrey can't do this. I'm talking about another guy, Jeremy, but Jeffrey can't be too.
Yeah, absolutely. To people in the chat room, thanks for joining us tonight. I don't know what this one guy's name. All Gator YouTubers lied to the fans. Point blank. Period. I mean, you can have your opinion. We don't lie. We report on what information that we have. And let me tell you, folks, you get almost the same information that we do. There's nothing special. There's no gone are the days our insiders are having all that stuff. It's very locked up. We hear press conferences, we ask questions, and that's it. And we make the best determination. We're certainly not lying. So that's sort of a ridiculous statement. Thanks to Felicia Burr joining us, Toby Permenter.
That's right.
Permenter, Utah's defense line. Yep. Larry Thompson, the Gemini in method, and Leslie Greenlee, Max U.
All right, stop right there. Right there on Max. Because there's something we're going to have to address at some point. Might as well be now. We talked about it before. I'm seeing tweets already. Fire Billy and bring back Urban. Okay, and he says this. Urban, please come back to Florida. I don't care about the past, only about the future. It's kind of a beautiful little thing that he said, and that's not going to happen. But boy, people don't want it. People are used to having victories. And Urban just mentioned in the interview, he had a bad year. He got off to a 7-2 start.
7-2 start was a bad year. Just to put that in perspective. Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that can be done. A nice offensive coordinator would be nice, calling some plays. Every great coach that came through Florida and the offense had a wrinkle, right? We had the fun and gun with Spurrier, the spread offense with Urban. I don't know if maybe Billy's looking for that voice right now, whatever it may be. It does seem like he's trying to do a lot. And maybe, like Urban said, let these guys be professionals and regroup. look, he's not going anywhere right now. I think that would be ridiculous in that sense.
You better show up big against Tennessee.
But you can't, look, I've already been through some pretty tough losses, losing to Vanderbilt, losing to Kentucky, getting your butt kicked against Georgia. The list goes on. And it's going to be a tough year to stomach if, what's his name? The guy who was at the Athletic, I forget his name. He said the Gators going to go 3-9. Look, if you play like you played yesterday, that's very possible. Because that you can't play that kind of football.
Oh, don't depress me further, please.
That's just my opinion. So
I gotta go now. I'm getting depressed.
Well, it's Friday night. I thought I'd just perk you up. Yeah, I'm tired and cranky. So there you go. What are you
I look forward to your column. And,
thank you.
Football this weekend.
Yep.
Thank you, folks on YouTube.
Saturday.
Yeah, and we'll be back on Monday. Doing our thing we do here. It's called the Buddy Martin Show.
Well, you're not doing a post-game show on. I thought you guys always do a post-game show on Sunday. Usually you do a post-game show.
We're not doing that yet. We're doing a Friday night show. What do you want us to work 7 days a week?
Yes,
no,
I do.
That's what you do. We don't do that. We're too old. All right, Brendan. Good night. I love you. See you.
Good night. Love you.